Indian River Connections brings you the first source you can watch for truth on board decisions in Indian River County. The Board Report, where taxpayers and policymakers intersect. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform to get notified when we go live on Fridays at 7 p.m. Visit IndianRiverConnections.com for more. Sponsored by Gus Curran's House of Champions.
All right. Welcome to the Board Report. I'm your host, John Karapi, one of the hosts of the TGI Now podcast and one of the partners of the Indian River Connections. We're also sponsored by Gus Curran's House of Champions. If it wasn't for Gus, we'd be able to do this show. So we're back on, and looks like we got somebody popping in here. Hold on. Oh, there she is. All
hey.
Right. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, sorry, my clock stopped working.
Okay. Well, maybe you don't need to use a clock anymore.
Yeah, I know. The battery stopped, and I'm looking at him going, "Oh my gosh. It's not ticking." So how are you guys doing?
We're good. I was just doing the introduction for the Board Report, sponsored by Gus Curran's House of Champions, and we got Thomas Augustus from Sunshine Journal in the green room, and we got his stuff pulled up for the Sunshine Journal and what's going on with the sheriff's budget, and over at the Indian River County Commissioners with Mr. Flesher. And I guess we're going to get into the Kilted Mermaid again, and Linda Moore. I guess there's a meeting on Tuesday to discuss her future.
Yeah, I think Jennifer Pippin was saying that was around 9 o'clock. So everybody needs to participate that can participate, because I know people are at work.
Yeah.
So it makes it difficult for people to show up.
Okay.
But if they can't, they should take like a 15-minute break and make a phone call and try to reach them.
Okay.
Hey, we've got another heads up today for our audience today. Mike, our partner and producer, will be at Riverside Park tomorrow.
Oh, that's
Saturday.
Right.
That's right, July 19th. And he's going to be there from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. for the Teach a Kid to Fish event. Isn't that awesome?
No, that's a great event. That's from Voices for Children, and they're one of our sponsors for the Connecting People and Places podcast. Awesome.
Yeah, and Mike's going to be there with his kids, so they're going to enjoy the fishing fun, his little kids, while he collects school supplies for the back to school event. So I'm going to ask all our audience, if you're in the area, please stop by and say hello to Mike. And if you can, drop off some supplies to help support local classrooms. You know, let's get those kids started in the beginning of the year with all the supplies they need and the teachers in their classrooms. So if you missed our show last week, the topics that we're going to be discussing today, we're going to be picking that up again. We've got Thomas Augustus in the green room, and there's some information that you need to stick around for. So we're going to take a break and we're going to segue to the commercial, and we'll be right back with our guest, Thomas Augustus. Oh, freezing. Okay, guys, we're having a little bit of a technical issue here. We'll be right back. So hang in there. All right, Thomas, we ran into.
Hey, we're right back.
Yeah, we ran into a little bit of an issue with the commercial. I couldn't pull it up.
Oh, Johnny went froze. So
yeah, he froze. Come on,
he froze.
Here,
John never freezes.
I know.
He's as loose as they come. So what's going on? Hey, John, you're back.
What's up? We didn't pay the commercial. Oh, geez. All right.
Yeah, I couldn't.
You can do that if you'd like. I'm just sitting here, you know,
I'll go ahead.
have a little fun.
I'll go ahead and run it. Yep.
Yeah, let's run it.
Because Gus.
Tired of the same old workout? Come knock out your fitness goals at Gus Curran's House of Champions. Founded in 1996 right here in Vero Beach, Florida, our Hall of Fame trainers will push you to your limits and beyond. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, we have the perfect class for you, including the one-of-a-kind Rock Steady Parkinson's training. So come join the fight and unleash the champion inside you. Give them a call, 772-713-1157, or go to gchouseofchampions.com.
I love that commercial.
So do I. I want to know, what is white collar boxing?
White collar boxing. I don't know.
It's on the billboard. It says professional boxing, white collar boxing, and the Parkinson's training, which is explaining the ad, of course. So I'm like, what's white collar boxing? Because I think that's my level.
That's
maybe
that's
maybe a
all
little lower, like ring around the collar boxing.
Yeah, is that the gentler boxing?
right.
It's a kinder, gentler punch.
So you don't end up at work with a black eye
Yeah.
the next day.
Exactly. That's why you're self-employed, so you can go to work with a black eye.
So Thomas, I love all the stories that you're covering. I love your paper. Anybody can go to Thomas Augustus at substack.com and sign up and subscribe. He is awesome at what he does. And he's been filling us in with the county commission and the city. So where do you want to start, Thomas?
That's up to you guys. I probably with the commission, just because of the great budget. I'm currently doing some follow-up information on that, but we had good old Joe Flesher. We talked a little bit about this last week, about the quote survival and sustenance.
Mm-hmm.
For all, because he's accountable for all 170,000 residents. Yeah. Originally, when I was writing this article, I was like, government just got to get out of the way. If you ever listen to like a guy like Rush Limbaugh, it's like, limited government does specific things. At the local level, we think about utilities. We think about, utilities like water treatment, contracting, so we get our power provided. In our county, not necessarily trash collection, although our county spent $13 million on it, or $12.5 million on it, to force everybody into a universal contract agreement for the next 10 years with waste management. And I found that out only because in watching the meeting on the 9th, a man showed up with a recycling bin to protest against not funding the sheriff. He's like, you spend X millions of dollars here, and he had the can at the podium. And I was like, what a prop, man. Props to him.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's like, I would rather you taking that money and giving it to the sheriff.
Yeah.
And just talking to people, I've talked to a lot of people about the reality of budgeting and the county. The sheriff, this has always been an issue, paying the deputies. Goes back to Darrell Lore. Darrell Lore had these fights for 10 years. A lot of deputies have testified in the past about all that, and they love Darrell Lore as a sheriff and everything because he fought for them. But it's really gotten drastic, this gap, this divide of financing, because not only have they never really fully taken care of that funding to get these guys competitive, these men and women at the sheriff's department, but also in the era of COVID, post-COVID, the consumer price index just went through the roof, and inflation and the soaring costs of food and everything, parts for the cars, the whole 9 yards just went up at the sheriff's department. And so the sheriff's sort of in a double whammy here. He's not getting his funding to help to stay competitive. And then everybody who has that type of funding, I believe Martin County's chartered. And I think I'd have to check this, but there are sheriff's departments in the state of Florida that have their own taxing district. And so they get a lot more money, and they can do a lot of different things, and they can pay and compete.
Mm-hmm.
And here one of the things that we've always valued in this county, and I think we should continue to do, obviously, and Darrell Lore implemented it, is that our deputies are one of the few that are triple accredited, is the way it's been put. So they have a real high standard and skill set from these accreditations. And so these young deputies come out, they get a couple of years under the belt, and the next thing you know, they're like, look down the road and they're going, oh, I can get 50% more money being an SRO, for an example, or I can do this or that. And these counties are like, oh, you're triple accredited? Come on. Because no one's got this kind level of accreditation. And so we're trying to do the right thing, but we're not really trying to pay for the right thing. And then the inflation comes in. It's more insidious of a consequence than even just the normal back and forth. And it's compounded. And now this divide is 14 million this time around.
Wow.
The sheriff said last year when he asked for 9.8 and he got 5 million, I think. When he asked for that, he said, I'll be back.
Mhm.
You know, remember that? And it was all during the election season.
Yep.
And they basically had to come to an agreement because Canich is like, well, we can't do it without raising taxes. So the sheriff comes in this year and he's like, you guys are raising taxes every year anyway. The millage rate may not go up, but everybody's tax goes up because you've assessed their properties at 15% higher than they were, 15% higher than they were the previous year. Therefore, the rates go up. You're not rolling back to those original dollar amounts from the previous year. And you have to file a notice that you're raising taxes. You've done it for 6 years. And now he's like, hey, tell me what you want me to cut, because you have to tell me what you want me to cut if you're not going to take my budget.
Yeah.
That's legal. That's
Mhm.
a statute.
That's
And I think no sheriff has ever done this. And I'm not to defend Sheriff Flowers of 100%. I'm just laying out his argument. You know, there are a lot of people who think he sort of spent a little bit wildly. Looking into that as well. It's a time-consuming thing.
Yeah, and it's because he's getting all these toys, but these guys, they apply for federal grants and they apply for state grants, and those are the things that pay for the real big ticket items that you see, like those armored cars and stuff. That's not coming out of our taxpayer money. It's, a large portion of that is coming from the grants that they apply for. And constitutional people say, I don't like you getting federal grants because now you have to abide by the federal rules and all this stuff. Now the feds have their hands on our sheriff department because they're getting money, but they do it for all law enforcement. And if you look at some of those bills that they pass and up at the White House, they've got all kinds of grants that they're giving out to local police stations and sheriff's offices. So when he's talking about needing money, if the county commission really wants to question it, they need to go over that line item. Like when he went up before them last time and asked for an increase and told them what he was going to spend it on and what he needed it for, the county commission should pose that argument and say, hey, we see that you didn't use it where you said you were going to use it. Maybe you should restructure your budget and use it the way you said. But they can't even do that because they're not auditing his budget. They're not asking to look at it.
Well, he gave it to him on May 1st. He emphasized that he's required to be one of the first. I think the supervisor of elections also does on the same day. And yeah, that you are absolutely right about auditing and looking at the budget. He's like, you've had this for 2 months and you guys can't tell me where to cut. You're just going to give me, now it's less, about a third of what he asked for. He needs $9 million. There was a correction made. It was really interesting to see how Tukanich, they had to stop the debate in the morning because Tukanich misrepresented his budget on the training of officers. He says, well, you're going to train. He goes, we can't understand why here it costs this much per officer. And then here you have training officers and you're only getting 7 of them for $770,000. He goes, you paying them $110,000. It's like, that's wrong. It was actually 26 officers in training and coming way down. And so they had to literally get with Flowers' CFO at lunchtime and do all this stuff and basically represent what happened, what the right numbers were and how they are accounted for. None of their numbers were wrong. It's just that in analyzing his budget, I really felt personally that he's, Eric started with going out to the community. He put the video out on and he said, hey, call your commissioners. And he told the community. And then he went all over town, presenting the budget to the people. Makes perfect sense. The people,
Yeah.
after all, their elected representatives are voting for it. And he's building. And then there was that article in 32963 with Flesher and Lohr. And they're already downplaying the idea that he's not going to get a whole heck of a lot. They don't say why, but they do say they're not going to get. And then you have this whole thing with sort of an ambush by Tikanich that crunches the numbers. And in the middle of it, they have to stop the debate because the numbers are misrepresented. So I'm like, who's really running around with the political football here?
Yeah, and just goes to show that they're not looking closely at his budget. People forget that they've got armor, they've got a training facility that they need to take their all of their officers to, even the ones that aren't in training, the ones that are regularly there. They've got a lot of things, and just all of the stuff that they have to use that's technology, surveillance, security, fingerprinting, all that stuff costs another dollar bill. People don't really, when they think of the sheriff department or law enforcement, they don't think of everything that happens in the backs of the scenes. And when you think about all the stuff that they have to protect, all that information that they have to protect, that's IT. Just IT alone probably runs them, an easy, close to, I don't know, $800,000 or more, in the millions, so people don't see that. And I think to me, it sounds, no, it's not cheap. It takes a lot. And if you look at the other counties, even if like Martin County is bigger than our county, but their budget's really high. And they pay their officers way more than we pay our officers. But Indian River County is getting to the point where it's almost as expensive to live here as it is in West Palm Beach. But we're not supplying the same work competition and salaries to keep our guys here. And we have.
Well, think about this too. Think about what's going on at the sheriff's department. Okay, I went and did a tour about a week ago this past Monday. I went and tour, saw the jail, saw the whole facility, had a great tour with Lieutenant Sincere and Captain Campbell, who runs the jail. Met Eric at the Real-Time Crime Center, which was very interesting in what they can do with technology. And it's really cool. You talked about grants. The helicopters, actually each one costs $2,500 because it's through what they call a 1033 federal grant. And they get these old helicopters, and through the grant, they're able to fix them, repair them. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you got your flight certification and all that stuff. And you look at the budget, that stuff costs money. Those certifications that these guys have to have and the different things. They're going to actually retire one of the helicopters because it's just old. It's really old. But they have the two others that work fine. But those helicopters were only $2,500 when they got them per helicopter. So those grants are really effective uses of taxpayer dollars. I'm sure there are others as well. I'm not mentioning here, but that's just one that stood out to me. The other thing too is that the kitchen where they make food for all the inmates during hurricanes and emergency situations here, weather most likely is what's going to happen here at Indian River, that becomes the kitchens for all first responder personnel, and they can make 10,000 meals a day there, I think.
Wow, that's amazing. And see, people don't
understand these things, that what is in they can make thousands of meals a day if there is some devastation here. They can become the soup kitchen for a lot of people in this county, as well as all the first responders. So they take care of that. They have their own print shop there now.
Oh, wow.
And so they their whole budget's printed at their print shop. They still have to pay for the supplies and different things like that. But it's also, they've taken inmates on the female side, and they're learning printing skills, offset printing, all this stuff in the print shop. and they print for other counties. I think they print for St. Lucie and a few others on the Treasure Coast. They do all that stuff for them. So everything, it's very cost efficient in that regards too. The other thing that Eric did, which is very interesting, and I don't know how the numbers work out, but you got to understand, when an inmate comes in, if they have high blood pressure while they're in the jail, the sheriff's department is responsible for all their medicine and medications, making sure they get them. If they run out, they pay for them. All of those, they don't even bring them in. They have to do the whole exam, do a workup. So Treasure Coast Community Health has come in and they have a contract. It's in the budget. It's $4.2 million. It's not cheap, but when you're doing 450 inmates a day with all sorts of varying illnesses or conditions, diabetes, what have you. I mean, they've got nurses in there that can set a broken finger and not send them off to Cleveland Clinic. Right. Where you'd have to, with deputies, that would do overtime doing that.
Yeah, and those are all the working parts behind the scenes. Most people just see the officer with all his gear and the car, but there's so much that makes that happen, and it's costly. It's very costly. And I think the budget, to me, if county commission, I would like to see county commission, and I'm sure other people would like to see it, but the response would be, hey, maybe we need to take a tighter look at our NGOs, and let's specialize in that area, and let's not have so many NGOs. Let's have good specialized NGOs. That would be a first step to shrinking down that budget and saying, we're going to have these people do these certain things, and we'll take $1 million out of that. Let's cut it $1 million or $1.5 million and give that to the first responders.
Why are you negotiating a mandatory contract onto the citizens who have a history of taking their trash to the transfer stations? And if they're out in Fellsmere or on bigger farms in agriculture, which is huge still here, we're the number 2 in citrus grapefruits. We're number 8 overall in the state. And people burn their trash here. They've always done it. Or they take it to the transfer station when it's, specific types of things. But here we are. You spent $12.2 million just on the private collection side, signed a 10-year deal with Waste Management to do universal. And they're saying, well, people are using the bins and they're throwing their trash in there. Yeah, they're mad at you're even doing this. It's a little passive aggressive thing going on.
We should have saw that coming, because the test run was when they did it to Sebastian. Remember?
Yeah.
They did it
and
to
it was
Sebastian.
A big blow up about it.
And they still did it in our county. And I had mentioned that to a few people. I said, what you see happening in Sebastian right now is coming our way. And it sure did. I was like, really?
And so I mentioned that in the article. It's going to cost what? $223 annually. I come from a big city. That's not a lot of money to get my trash collected. It's like $18.60 something cents a month, but it's tied to the CPI. So your rate increases, Eric, in 2022, 23, I think it was, no, 22, for the 22-23 budget, he said to them, they came to an agreement. He asked for 10.7. He got 7.25. Jason Brown was the county administrator at the time. They worked out a real good agreement. They were able to give non-union employees a 7% increase. That's the other thing about this. When you have a budget and your contracts are offline from when you negotiate with union, you can't you can give them a bump, obviously. I'm sure you can do all that, but you want to be able to, you sort of want to align those budget increases, especially with pay, with the union agreement. So he said to the county that he had a tentative agreement, with the union, and it was hinged on getting that $9 million for these employees, and he got 4.7 total. But all that to say is, when he negotiated that back then, he was very thankful. He was able to give that increase. He was also able to hire 28 deputies, sworn officers, new trains, but he had to stagger it out. He couldn't hire them all at once. It'd be too much impact on his budget. So you have to stagger out the hires. One of the other things they did, they used to give everyone at the beginning of the fiscal year a raise, right? They stopped doing that and they put it on their anniversary date. Once again, staggering out the expense over time so as to not, cause his budget shortfall. And, but during that thing, he said the CPI was 9.1%. This is Biden. We had inflation 9.1% in 1 year. So now your trash is tied to that CPI. And if you go into incredible. You go in the store, I'm sorry, groceries are still going up.
I was paying trash quarterly and it was like $30. I don't even think it was that much. It was something like 28 something quarterly.
Yeah, me too.
Which is nothing per month, Yeah,
it's it came out to like $8.50 a month or something. And now but have you noticed recently it's now like 20, it's been like 20 something a month or 30 a month. And now it's going to drop back down. It's going to go through, it looks to me like it's going to go through the county. I'm not sure how that's all going to work out. But all of a sudden it became a monthly thing. And that's a subscription service. You and I could have said no. Right. And had the trash, we would have been responsible for our own trash.
Yeah, we don't live too far from it. I used to drive our trash to the dump.
I talked to I come from DC. Driving trash never happened. It's just not gonna happen up there. But it was all sold under the guise of it's environmentally sound. Sorry, it's trash. Set it on fire. That's what you guys should be doing.
Let's hold it right there. We'll take a short break and then we'll come back and talk about the city mayor.
Awesome.
The Warrior Shield Foundation proudly presents Warrior Weekend, a 3-day event from September 5th through September 7th at the Rosen Center in beautiful Orlando, Florida, which honors and supports the Corporal Chad Eric Oleg Schlager Foundation for PTSD, raising awareness and resources for its vital mission to help our most valuable heroes, our veterans. This powerful weekend will feature live performances by country music recording artist Ryan Weaver.
It's a long way to home, but you won't take the hard road all alone.
American Idol runner-up Bo Bice.
Tired of looking down roads, wondering what I gotta do, who I'm supposed to be. I don't wanna be anything other than free.
Christian contemporary and country artist Natasha Owens.
God and country strong, give me a cowboy who knows left from right from wrong.
Florida native and national recording artist Sean Holcomb.
You just watch your mouth. You don't know what you're talking about. There's a compass, there's a map, if you need.
In addition to all of the musical artists performing at the event, meet John Tig Tigan and Dave Boone Benton. 2 true American heroes who stood their ground and defeated armed terrorists on September 11th, 2012 in Benghazi, Libya. Not only can you meet Tig and Boone, but you can spend the day at the range, shooting and learning from the best of the best. Another hero that you will not want to miss is Colonel Gregory Gadsden, an American actor and motivational speaker, and a retired colonel and former commander in the United States Army. Colonel Gadsden is also a bilateral, above-the-knee amputee who served in the Army for 25 years of active duty as a field artillery officer. Nowhere else will you be able to meet this all-star lineup while supporting our veterans and first responders. This is an event of a lifetime, and one you do not want to miss. Get your tickets now, online, at warriorshield.org, and support those who fought and sacrificed so much for all of us.
Aloha.
Wow. So were you out on the motorcycle today, Joann?
No, I wasn't. I was last Friday.
I was I say you got a little like rosy tan color in the old face there. I was like, yeah, riding. How's John doing, by the way?
I'm doing great. Just listen to you guys. Oh, I'm talking. I thought you were talking.
The other
Oh,
John.
hi, John.
Come on, Bing.
You know,
Bing.
everybody's name is John.
Bing.
Yeah,
Bing's
John's
doing great, too.
Awesome. We know Karapi's doing great. He's unfrozen. He's thawed out, ready to rock.
No power
Yeah,
outage.
yeah. So
You
let's
have power
move on.
outage?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Today?
awesome.
it just
Right there.
it just went off and on.
You gotta
Knocked out the show. That's what happened.
Yeah, I
It
know.
froze up.
Yeah. So hey, let's move on to the city of Vero Beach.
Oh.
Uh-oh. What's
Uh,
that about?
the 22nd, I believe, is the is that Tuesday, John?
Yeah,
always-
It is
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah, so on the 22nd, 9 a.m. is a city council meeting. Let's see over there at covb.org. But Jennifer's put a call out. Jennifer Pippin and Moms for Liberty has put a call out to go protest. Not necessarily protest, but just speak about a city council member who's doing these types of things in a city that's, you know, we don't like these types of things.
Mm-hmm.
Types of things are those.
Yeah, the drag queen shows for minors, advertising for used sex toys to be brought to your restaurant, you know, basically accusing the Indian River County Sheriff's Office for racism without any evidence whatsoever. If you go to my article, there's links to that as well. She told the when I went and did a public records request on that particular accusation, she told him, she said, well, I heard it as hearsay from the community. So with hearsay, she decided to present it as part of her argument in a discussion about supporting about the executive order to support ICE, which the Vero Beach Police Department had done in some form or another since 1996. I mean, you know, I think it's just low ball, horrible politics, because it's based in flat out lies and suppositions that are just not true, but are pushed as a narrative to freak people out. And that's why our politics are so volatile today, because people are willing to do that. And she did it from the dais.
Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, so it looks like we froze up, guys.
Who froze up?
Not me.
We're having a connection issue. Just hang on.
Your video froze up, but your audio's fine.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Did the lightning bolt strike your house now? It's like right down the street from John's house, I think.
Right?
I don't know what's going on. It looks beautiful outside.
I know.
We're gonna have to get Starlink is what we're gonna have to do.
You have
But
to
yeah,
hardwire
so-
those computers to a UPS system.
So we were in the month of June, which was Pride Month, and the Kilted Mermaids Pride celebration was on a Sunday, and it was explicitly advertised for all ages. So they had these, what do you call them? We used to call them transvestites when we were younger in my time. But
Yes.
they had all of these trans people dancing and hooching and in seductive gear in front of little kids.
Yeah, they had two drag queen shows. One of them featured Miss Tree Hugga. I guess Miss Tree Hugga must be an environmentalist at
Oh
heart.
my God, that's crazy.
But the environment in that club was a little bit nasty. So
That's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
So so it was kind of and it wasn't during night, it was during the day.
It started at 4:00. Yes, it went through dinner. There were two performances. And Miss Tree Hugga is the one that, if you look at the article I put out, that's the one who's featured in pictures there. And the drag queen went later on to be dressed. First had the dress on. And like that's right at a kid on the opposite.
Yeah, in front of a kid.
She bumped her head on that little piece of hanging
Oh,
stage prop.
He hit the stage prop with his head.
Yep. And then later, if you go down,
Oh, he's wearing lingerie.
Yeah.
Wait. Is that Dee Snider from Twisted Sister? That's what it looks like.
Well, that's definitely a Twisted Sister.
That looks like Dee Snider, if I'm not.
But that's a few dollars right there.
So that's
Oh, yeah, look at
Miss
that.
Tree Hugga. Miss Tree Hugga went around the bar collecting dollars
Right
and
here,
doing
yeah.
seductive dancing and all that stuff.
There.
If
Yeah.
you're
Gosh,
seduced by such things.
that is worse than seeing a man in a Speedo.
Right? That's,
Well, I mean,
wow.
I'm gonna start vomiting if
Wow. Look at that.
Oh,
That's-
he did. He hit his head.
Oh man.
It would have been funny if his wig fell off.
That's
Oh,
not
you
how Miss Tree Hugga's like, that's not how it went in rehearsal.
Oh, that
Oh,
happens. That's
and
such-
she flicked off the
Stop-
chandelier.
don't
Did you see
say
that?
She. It's not a she. It's
Well,
a
whatever.
he.
He
And that
flicked-
pose right there, his packing
Watch.
probably showed in front of the children. That's horrible.
Watch. See?
Oh.
He slapped it. He's like,
Look.
you naughty thing.
Look at
I
that.
bumped into you.
Look at that.
I never noticed that was an actual bird coming out of the tree.
Yeah.
Oh my
Out of Miss
goodness.
Tree Hugga.
And
She's
he's collecting money, like, so
Yeah.
this is happening in front of children.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, that's so inappropriate.
There's a lady there with a kid on her arm in that video, and then he actually bent down to that like 8-year-old girl there. There were other kids in the audience. There
Oh,
were
heaven's
teenagers
sakes.
there. I mean, it's just look. The intent of all this is just anyway.
Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy. Look at that.
That actually happened in conservative Vero Beach.
Yep.
Yeah,
look at
there's
that.
kids. Look at, there's a baby in that lady's arms. Wow.
Joann, that's art. Come on.
That's art. That's art.
Art.
Wow. Look at
Art.
that. And she's smiling. The mom's smiling at her, at him. He,
She's
she.
enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's a he. That's not a he, she, it's a he.
Wow.
That's what we used to call, times have really changed. I mean, we totally were acceptant of, we knew you were a transvestite if that's what you wanted to dress like, but this whole transgender thing.
Well, if you think about
very
this,
different.
look, part of this, all of this is it's a specific culture. It's got a specific audience for the most part, and there ain't a whole lot of money in it.
Yeah.
And so when you think about the whole the drag queen library story hour that was being funded by governments to a tune, some of them were like signing with these associations of drag queens $300,000 and $400,000 contracts. That's pretty. You got like 5 people in an association who are running around on a $400,000 contract, going to the public libraries and doing drag queen stories for kids. Now that's some serious coin.
Yeah,
And it's all paid for by the taxpayer.
Right.
That's what this was really about. That's what they were protecting. It had nothing to do with freedom of expression. It had a lot to do with, I can make a lot of money doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow.
And I'll have a whole nother audience funded by the taxpayer.
Exactly.
Well,
That's-
they should, you could make money doing that at night. There's all kinds of people that come out of the woodwork at night. You don't have to do it at a time where children are there, little children,
if you can make it a 9-to-5 job for exceedingly much more money paid for by the taxpayer, probably get health benefits if you're really smart at negotiations. I mean, think about it, Joann. That's what was happening. DEI in the government was creating these avenues for these people to come in and go after huge amounts of dollars, guilting the government to fund this nonsense.
Siphon the taxpayer.
You got it.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
It's
That's
another
why-
way, it's the same idea with some of these crazy NGOs and
Mhm.
USAID. It's just another form of that grift.
Yeah.
It is. It really is. It's funneling your dollars for something else that has nothing to do with what your local government needs. It's a waste of money. And
Exactly.
it's grooming kids. It's grooming the next generation so that they can change that whole thought process, change the morals, change the principles of these young kids. Forget about teaching them right from wrong. I mean, we already have kids that don't even understand the difference between right and wrong. They don't understand what freedom of speech is. There's so many things the younger generation does not understand already that they can be easily convinced of an untruth, and live it and say, well, he said so. There's no fact. There's no rationale anymore.
Yeah. And so like in a state like Florida, where they were like, we're not doing no drag queen story hour in our schools or our public libraries. You'll lose your funding, public library. You'll lose your funding, public school district from the state. You'll lose whatever. And so in our state, it's like, well, we're going to I think the drag queen community is like, well, we're going to ride the wave of this. We're going to start doing all age drag shows at these clubs on Sundays. Because look, Sunday at a bar is pretty mellow. Everyone's going back to work on Monday.
Well, and
right?
it's not,
And you need something in the afternoon that, hey, I could draw a bunch of people in. So we'll do drag queen bingo, drag queen story hour, drag queen whatever, and it'll be a family affair.
right.
And then so the governor comes down and says, this is adult entertainment, and they pass the law, and here we are. Now in other states, that's what's going on. It's a big marketing scheme, in my view.
Well, and don't forget, Linda, they came from Orlando, and that's a big culture over there in Orlando, is that type of scenario. And they brought that with them. And that's, like I always said before, like on the last show, we got infiltrated. People moved into this town. They started to groom the culture and groom the community into accepting this type of behavior. And then we allow it now. And then we vote people like her in to be on the city council, and it just expands upon it. It's very bizarre, and it's bizarro world, really. It really is.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. If you want to do something like that, there are ordinances in our city where you can do those things and provide that type of entertainment. Granted, it's
You have to go to
so
the dump.
difficult. Yeah, you have to build your club out by the dump or by the new sewage plant property or somewhere in the woods along the runway at the airport.
Yeah.
And 1,000 yards away from homes and all that stuff. And you have to jump through some hoops. But if you want to have hula hoop and drag queens, those are the hoops you got to jump through for kids.
100%.
For adult entertainment. And go
it
right
shouldn't
ahead
be
and do
downtown.
that.
Well, it shouldn't be downtown Vero. I mean, it shouldn't be downtown Vero. It shouldn't have anything to do with the city limits. It should have anything to do with the city council. And that's what's so bizarre about it. So hopefully people show up to this meeting and at least voice their concerns and their opinions and say, look, we don't stand for this. This is not what we're going to do. We'd rather do this instead. We'd rather teach a child to fish tomorrow
Yeah, that's community. I mean,
There
it's
you go.
it's
Teaching.
really bizarre that it's happening in, during day hours, but it's also bizarre that it's a representative that's influencing this. And that's the most bizarre thing, is they're not connecting with the larger percentage of the community. Because remember, the transgender or transvestite or gay community, they're a small percentage of who this community is, our citizens of Indian River County are. And we're very family oriented and we have family values, but those aren't being met when you've got a representative that wants to put on a show for all ages, disregarding what family is about and the innocence of children. So that's really something that we
And
should think about.
you're right. And disregarding basic zoning laws in her own city.
Exactly.
She's in charge of implementing or changing or building policy and ordinances in this city. She's one of 5 votes.
Mhm.
That's
And
right.
she's ignoring, she's just flaunting them.
Yeah, exactly. They got away with it in Orlando. They figure they'll get away with it here, and they've been getting away with it here. Nobody's really doing anything about it. So this is where we have to come into play.
And
Yeah,
it's
and we
very
have-
important that city residents get out there, because they're the ones that have the authority. I live in South County. I could go and say my piece,
Right.
Yeah.
but I have no ability to participate in the recall if there is something of that, or anything else for that matter.
Yeah, we can show the city residents that are not for this type of behavior our support and let them know, we support you. We're a bigger part of the county than the city, but we can show them that support. It's important for us to show that support. So if anybody can go, I know it's during work hours, which makes it difficult, but still call or email and send your thoughts and opinions about this, and let them know how you feel about it. Because this is what's happening in society now, is we're having people that get into representative positions and they're taking advantage of those positions, that they're disregarding what the real principles are that they're going into that office seat for, and it's to represent the people that you're there for, that you're seated for, either in the city or the county, or whether you're doing you're a state representative. You're representing a majority of those people, and you're following the principles. Also, the city council, I don't know if they take an oath to the Florida Constitution or the Constitution or not.
Absolutely, they do.
Those principles are laid out in those statutes and the Constitution, and people really need to realize that your vote counts. So get out there and vote, get out there and express yourself, because if you don't participate, these people have a better chance of getting into office and misrepresenting your values, your principles, and where you want this county to move forward. And that's why we're here.
And that's so important. It is. It's constitutional. She has to understand that. And I people just have a blatant disregard for simple law, and it leads to basic disregard for simple decorum in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, well, this law's blah, blah, blah. So you just start flaunting whatever you want to flaunt, whether it be, I want legalized drugs, I want to legalize drag queens, flashing kids, I want whatever the case may be. And it's not cool. Not cool at all.
It's not. And our young kids are so influenced by all the things that they see around us. So, and they don't understand. They're not ready to understand these things. I mean, our kids, when they play dress up, the reason they're playing dress up is not because they're trying to discover whether they're a boy or girl, but they're seeing characters, they're seeing adults, they're seeing doctors, they're seeing police officers, and they're putting that material on, that costume on, to play that role, to see what it's like to be a police officer. They're actually looking up to the people around them. And
they're learning American culture, actually.
Yes, they're learning from expressions, from behaviors. So they're absorbing all that. Do they understand it? No, they don't. But it's part of socialization. It's part of growing up. It's part of trying new things. It's part of trying to wear something, stepping into someone else's shoes, per se. And that's total innocence. But to think that they could understand what a drag queen is, it's just far beyond. It's too much information without really even knowing who they are as an individual yet. They don't really even know who they are yet. They're still learning.
Well, you got a guy walking around a club who doesn't even know who he is.
Yeah, we have, and that leads to,
That's not a good leader.
and that leads to totally normal kids growing up totally confused, and now you have created this psychological issue that they may never have had if they were just allowed to be innocent children, see the innocent things that they're supposed to see, and protect them from the things that they're not ready for. And that's what we're supposed to do as adults and parents and community, is to, yeah, in a sense, shelter our kids from all of the things that are very confusing, that can mislead them and misunderstand them. Or if it's too much information, some kids will end up with anxiety, or start to take it out on themselves. You don't know what your kid's going through, but that's a lot of information. I mean, as adults, when our life gets so busy, we feel anxiety. Sometimes it's too much for us as adults, and we need to take a breath, but we're adults, so we know how to do that. We know how to reach out and get tools. We know how to breathe, or we know how to self-care ourselves. Children don't know how to self-care themselves. Why? Because it's our job to self-care them. It's our job to show them how to calm down. It's our job to show them how to redirect their attention. They don't know how to do that yet. They'd be wild, but it's up to us to teach them that. And we can't teach them that with a society around us that's trying to put them in the presence of all these adult things that make no sense to them.
Well, they don't make sense to the adults.
Well,
An
yeah,
adult who understands basic truth, physical reality, biology. Let's just start right there. There are only two sexes. There are only two genders. The rest of it's fantasy. The whole gender discussion is fantasy from a particular point of view, because people do not want to. They don't want to be tethered to reality. If you read Psalm 2, God says it. He laughs, because these people are like, we're going to break the shackles off from who God is, and that's being tethered to reality. And the Word of God is like, I've tethered you to this reality, what I've created, who I am, and who I want you to be. And what you're seeing is in the culture, you see a lot of people trying to untether themselves from that, and they can't. And it comes out in all sorts of weird masochistic ways. And that's what we're seeing.
What I don't get, Thomas, is we have regular people that are supporting some of these things. I mean, Florida, I love that I live in Florida, and thank the Lord that DeSantis is still our governor, because he's just done a fabulous job. And, but normal people that you and I would talk to, are sitting there and they're coddling the idea that this person, if you ask them what's a woman, they've fallen into that spiral of, I don't know what a woman is. And it's like, if you see somebody with a mental illness or something that's not right, are you just going to tell them that it's right to make them feel better? You have to help them to come to reality and say, yeah, you're pretending to be a woman, but you're still a man, or you're pretending to be a man, but you're still a woman. And I can't lie to you, because if I lie to you, I'm not helping you. I'm just helping you fall deeper and deeper into this fantasy land. There's obviously something deeper in these people, where they don't even like themselves, but they want us to like them as a different person. Don't call me he, call me she. And it's like, but you don't even like being a he, but
Call
I
me
like you the way
Z,
you
ZE,
are.
or whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Now you're asking me to go against all logical judgment, all logical reasoning that what a biological man and a biological woman is, and you're asking me to be abnormal and call you what you're not.
Yeah, and
It's
don't
just
dead name me, and don't dead genderize me, and don't what are you talking about?
yeah. So it's obviously a deeper inner thing that they need counseling for,
Well,
and to put our little kids in the presence of these unstable people is it's just confusing. It blows my mind. I can't comprehend it.
well, a lot of listen to a lot of rock and roll in your life, and you'll discover that people wrote a lot of songs about being really hurt or hurting. It's just it is what it is. Uh,
Well, Thomas,
that's the culture.
we've had a great show, a great discussion here, and I hope that people do go. That people from the city, or if you don't live in the city but your friend lives in the city, please share this information with them. Let them know that the meeting's going on. What was that date again, Thomas? Do you remember the date?
That's the Tuesday, the 22nd.
Tuesday the 22nd.
If you go to covb.org, covb.org, and you cannot attend, you can definitely go on there and see your city council people. And what you can do is you can put them all in your little email chain and write your email letter to them and voice your concern that way. If you don't think, look, everybody's like, no one ever listens to you when you're sending. That's not true. They do.
And
They
that's
do.
right. And Jennifer
In this town, they do. I do know that. In this town, they do.
They do. And Jennifer Pittman, she was a champion on the books, and she got a team together. Chris Allen was part of her team. You're part of her team. There were so many people part of that team that really made it happen. Even the residents came and they showed up to the meetings, and Jennifer Pittman showed them the books and said, if you want to help us read, here's a sheet. And they got up there and they read. So guess what? Your voice means everything. It just doesn't mean anything when you voice it on a keyboard and you don't show up,
You're absolutely right. But go directly to them, and the best way you know how, and the best way you're able to, because it means something. They may not agree at first, but if you keep pushing, they're going to have to, especially if you're in the right. If you're on the side of truth, you're always going to win.
Yeah, and Thomas, tell them where to find your paper. You write a great paper. You're a wonderful writer. You're so talented. Tell them how to reach you.
I'm blushing. Now, on Substack.com, just put in the @ symbol, the Sunshine Journal, and you can find me there. At the Sunshine Journal. Got to get the in there, the article. The Sunshine Journal, and excuse me, that's where we are. And you can also use that address right there that you just put on the screen as well.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. Thank you, John. Thank you, Thomas. And thank everybody. Everybody, please visit the board report. Go to IndianRiverConnections.com. Go to the board report, hit the like, share, and subscribe tab to get notified when the board report goes live. Again, visit IndianRiverConnections.com to visit our network of podcasters. We've got To The Point Podcast, TGI Now, the Connecting People and Places podcast, Binford Chronicles, and Shattering the Narrative. And make sure you check us out on Rumble, X, Facebook, and YouTube. Good night, guys.
Good night.
You say good night, John?
Good night, John.
Indian River Connections brings you the first source you can watch for truth on board decisions in Indian River County. The Board Report, where taxpayers and policymakers intersect. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform to get notified when we go live on Fridays at 7 p.m. Visit IndianRiverConnections.com for more. Sponsored by Gus Curran's House of Champions.